Hey there, today I'm going to be talking about what could be considered a challenge, format, or a league, and why you should probably give it a try. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Almost a month ago now, I was approached by the Roster Doctor, or Mark, about joining some other MCP content creators for something called a 3-box challenge. And the idea behind it is pretty self-explanatory. In this challenge, you can create a roster with the components of a core box and 3 additional expansions to build your team from. So the pool of crisis and tactic cards will be heavily reduced compared to what you would normally expect to see in a roster of someone who has been playing or collecting the game for a while. So I accepted the challenge and the accompanying challenge to then play against some of these other content creators who also built some 3-box lists. So far, things have gone well for me and my web warriors, but I'll have another video going over my choices and games in a review later once that league has finished. Today, I want to talk about why this format is something that is really cool, and with the world beginning to open up, why it could be the perfect fit for a way to start getting games in again, both for new and veteran players alike. For those who have been playing the game for a while now, the options we have at our fingertips are crazy for a game that hasn't even been out for 2 full years. We have almost 100 models released, even more tactic cards, and a large variety of missions that we could mix and match for more than 100 unique objective setups. So being able to cut off access to a lot of these resources and restrict your list building is a bit of a challenge, sure, but it's also a lot of fun. You can plan around playing at 17 threat probably about 90% of the time because there won't be too many non-core crisis cards in that pool. As well, you have to look at not just at what characters a pack can bring to your team, but also what tactic cards they can bring to help out. Sure, Corvus and Thanos are easy picks for a Black Order player, but do you want to go get Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf's box just to use Mothership most of the time? So if you haven't had the chance to try out something like this, hit up a buddy and see if they'd be interested in trying out this challenge, because if you already have these stuff, then there isn't really much harm in trying it out. Also, if you were wondering what cards come with what characters, check out AMG's gallery on their website, and it details exactly what crisis and tactic cards come in each box. Another really cool thing about this format for experienced players is that it's actually pretty well balanced so far from what I can tell. If you know what different pieces are capable of on the table, and when is a good time to focus on killing, or maybe retaining priority, or just scoring points, etc., all of these skills are still relevant. Sure, some affiliations will still have a bad matchup against another affiliation, just like in the full game, but as a whole, the format holds up really well without having to tweak the banned and restricted list for people who know what they are doing. So while all of these reasons that I have enjoyed it are true, what really excites me about this challenge is how it could easily become a great replacement or equivalent of a slow grow league for Marvel Crisis Protocol. With the pandemic slowly fading and vaccinations being more and more easily accessible, this could be a great onboarding ramp to get new players into the game. A 3-box league will still allow newer players to pick an affiliation they are interested in. While they may not have all the tools on hand to make that affiliation shine at its brightest, it should be at least still providing a great idea of how that team plays. It can also help a new player from being overwhelmed with options. Having to pick 8 tactic cards was bad enough when the game was only 5 months old. Trying to do that now as a new player could be a little bit overwhelming, to say the least. So I think there's a lot of appeal to try and run an event like this to welcome new players into the game, because in addition to it just being a really nice starting point, you can also make a really good team just using the core box and 3 packs. Just for example, the Brotherhood getting Magnetos, Mystiques, and the Twins gives 5 solid in-affiliation characters, a 3-threat character with a throw in Beast, then Captain Marvel is a solid 4-threat flex from the core box, as she adds some much needed energy attacks to the affiliation, but also works really well with Magneto because he can feed her power for her own superpowers. My Web Warrior roster uses Miles, Amazing Spider-Man, and Iron Fist boxes to build a really defensive core that has some amazing objective and control play, and the lists can just keep on going. And it is in part because of this. I do think if you want to run this league specifically as a way to get new players involved in the game, it may be wise to add a couple of cards to the banned and restricted list just for this kind of event. Now, it goes without saying that it is your game and you play how you want, but I do feel like there are a couple of cards that you might want to add solely because of how straightforward and powerful they are. And I don't mention restricted cards at all here because with the much more limited card pool, restricting a card doesn't really help. And those cards that I'm talking about banning are Wakanda Forever and the Reality Gem. Both of these are already really powerful cards that give powerful buffs to the characters that can use them, as do several other cards, but these two stand out to me. Corvus Glaive with the Reality Gem has one job, and that job is to delete enemy models, which he does extremely efficiently, and that on its own wouldn't be reason enough for me to put this on a new player ban list. It is the part where the Black Order player can activate first, daze a powerful model like Magneto, and still retain priority to finish him off the next round before Mags even gets a second activation. This is something that I have seen happen with two players that had not played over the course of the pandemic and were playing their first game in over a year, and it's these kinds of situations that make me suggest those bans. For two less experienced players who would get to play against each other, probably focused a bit more on the fighting of their heroes and villains, where these kind of cards only become more powerful. So trying to prevent those situations, I think, just makes sense for the newer players. And I don't think taking away either of these cards is even close to enough to make Black Order or Wakanda relevant for this kind of format. The Black Order will still get to keep priority and be extremely aggressive, just a little less consistent, and Wakanda will still have plenty of board control and damage output, especially because Killmonger will likely see the table. And again, these bans are only ones that I would put into place so that in a game with two new players, one wouldn't end up just steamrolling the other without even meaning to. I would expect that more veteran players wouldn't be trying the known powerful tech for a slow grow league, especially not against a newer player, much in the same way that when you're teaching a new player, you probably don't bring MODOK or Valkyrie. So if all of this sounds appealing to you as a new player or a vet and want to find out more, there are several great articles with different examples that you can find on various blogs, videos, and podcasts from throughout the MCP content creator community. As well, I have a few interviews that will be posted over the next couple of weeks that includes a crazy death and taxes cabal list that drains a team's power, a double date list that runs Corvus and Proxima along with Crossbones and Sin, and several others. And that is everything I have for today. I want to say thank you to all the members of the Guild Hall who continue to support what I am doing with the channel. There's just so many cool things that I'm getting to do because of it, and I'm so appreciative for that support. As well, I want to now mention Tritex Games, the Guild sponsor. They have some great prices on their range of MCP expansions, and if you use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout, it'll save you an extra 5% off of your order. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the links down in the description for the Guild's Patreon page or Tritex page where you can use that discount code to let them know I sent you their way. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.